A local developer wants to turn the former Tonawanda Coke site into a data technology campus. But there's already conflict on how this toxic property will be cleaned up and who will pay for it.
The News 4 Investigates team has been talking to stakeholders about the future of that site. Luke Moretti is here with the details.
What do we want? Clean air! When do we want it? Now!
The toxic Tonawanda Coke property.
You can't just do a modest, inadequate cleanup and call it a day.
Now that it's shut down, what's next?
It's dirty and it needs to be cleaned up.
But an effort to clean up and redevelop the site is already raising eyebrows.
I'm very afraid that things are going to slide into some places where it shouldn't.
Honeywell International, which is legally responsible for some of the contamination on the site, is pushing to change the cleanup designation from a state superfund to a brownfield.
Our members want the Superfund program.
Honeywell says it's been approached by the OSC Group, which wants to buy the property and build a data technology campus. The developer, John Williams, says designating portions of the site that he wants to redevelop as a brownfield would result in a quicker cleanup. He says a federal Superfund designation could jeopardize the project by making it more difficult to secure financing and adding uncertainty to when the cleanup could be completed. But there's something else to consider. Developers of brownfield sites get refundable tax credits, which means taxpayers are on the hook for funding some of the project. Judith Enck is the former EPA Region 2 administrator.
Taxpayers should be concerned because they shouldn't have to foot the bill for this cleanup.
Recently, some elected leaders, such as Town of Tonawanda Supervisor Joseph Eminger, expressed support for a brownfield designation.
Without the brownfield cleanup program, these environmentally contaminated properties would remain vacant for decades and become a blight in our community.
They weren't the only ones. Last month, Congressman Brian Higgins told News 4 Investigates that he supported the brownfield option.
I think it's best left with State Department of Environmental Conservation under the Brownfields program.
That's in sharp contrast to what former EPA Administrator Judith Enck is advocating. She says the brownfield cleanup is not as rigorous as the Superfund.
It belongs in either state Superfund or federal Superfund, and any talk of brownfield designation should be clearly rejected, and no public official should be advocating for that.
Higgins eventually softened his view after a conversation with Enck. He sent a letter to the State Department of Environmental Conservation's top guy, the commissioner. That conversation was an eye-opening re-examination of Superfund and the unique needs of the Tonawanda Coke site, Higgins wrote. Ms. Enck made a compelling case for this site's inclusion in the federal Superfund program.
It's going to take a long time to clean it up, but we need to do it right. And the federal program offers more resources.
The state DEC argues that the cleanup standards are fundamentally the same for brownfield and Superfund programs, and that both are fully protective of public health and the environment.
Because that cleanup plan is going to look at what was identified in the comprehensive investigation, what the contaminants, the nature and extent of those contaminants are on the site, and develop a cleanup plan that addresses those contaminants.
Honeywell declined interview requests but issued a statement. Honeywell, like other companies with long manufacturing histories, has cleaned up sites under different government programs, including the New York State Brownfields program. A range of sites, including former industrial sites such as Tonawanda Coke, have been included in the program, which provides for public participation like Superfund and requires a remedy that must protect both the public and the environment.
They have a responsibility.
Many residents like Maria Tisby, who live near the Tonawanda Coke site, have long had health concerns about pollution when the Coke stacks were belching. Now they're concerned about the cleanup and who's going to pay for it.
To do it haphazard and to try to save a few pennies, or maybe just do it to honor your political aspirations, is not what I think the Tonawanda residents or people want. Health is the most important thing. It's priceless.
Neither the federal EPA or the state DEC have committed to which designation this property will receive. Regulators continue to assess the level of contamination and possible environmental threats. A DEC spokesman says the agency is keeping all of its options open to be flexible, and that the ultimate goal is getting the site cleaned up and put back into productive use. Luke Moretti, News 4.